Right now, in one of the most technologically advanced countries on Earth, something strange is happening. While the rest of the world is obsessing over AI, crypto, and the next big tech drop, South Korea is crying over a king who died 570 years ago. Over 16 million people packed into theaters to watch a story they already knew the ending to. A teenage king, exiled, powerless, forgotten. And then before that wave even settled, the entire country pivoted to a TV show about a billionaire woman who can't escape her birth status in a modern monarchy. Not a period drama, not a time travel fantasy. A story set in 2026 where social rank still decides your destiny. 16 million movie tickets. A TV show streaming in over 40 countries on Disney+. 2 months. One obsession. And I want to tell you, this is not just a Korean thing, because the emotion driving all of this, you've felt it too. You just called it something different. Stay with me. Let's start with the movie. The King's Warden opened on February 4, 2026. The premise is almost painfully simple. A young king named Lee Hong-ui, known to history as King Danjuang, has his throne stolen by his own uncle, stripped of his crown, stripped of his title, exiled to a remote mountain valley called Cheongnyongpo. He's 15 years old, and a village headman named Dom Hong-do, nobody special, no title, no royal obligation, decides to stay with him. That's the whole movie. No car chases, no superpowers, no CGI battle sequences, just a fallen king, and one ordinary man who chose loyalty over self-preservation. Opening day, 110,000 tickets sold. Decent, but not spectacular. Week 2 the numbers went up, week 3 up again, week 4 still climbing. By the Lunar New Year holiday, the film had become a full cultural phenomenon. People were going back for a second time, a third time. On March 6 The King's Warden crossed 10 million admissions. Final count 16.28 million tickets sold. The second highest grossing Korean film in history, in a country of 51 million people. In American terms, roughly 100 million Americans buying tickets for the same movie in 2 months. So I have to ask the obvious question. What is it about this story, a story everyone already knew the ending to, that pulled 16 million people into a dark theater to cry? To understand that, you have to understand something about South Korea in 2026. South Korea went from one of the poorest nations on earth in the 1950s to a top 15 global economy in roughly 2 generations. That transformation came with a price: enormous pressure, brutal competition, a culture where your academic record, your family name, your connections determine almost everything about your future. Koreans have a word for it: Gapjil, the abuse of power by those above you, and a concept called hyuksujo, the sense that the system is rigged before you even sit down. Sound familiar? In Latino culture we talk about Palanca. Who do you know? Whose family are you from? Who will open the door for you? You can be the most talented person in the room, but without Palanca that door stays closed. In African American experience there's a phrase that cuts even deeper. You have to be twice as good to get half as much. Qualified, prepared, ready, and still pushed aside because the system wasn't built for you. Now go back to the King's Warden. King Danjuang is not just a sad historical figure. He is the most legitimate person in the room, literally. The king, and it still wasn't enough. Power, title, bloodline, all of it taken away by someone with more force and less conscience. When Korean audiences watched that young king sit alone in exile, they weren't watching 15th century history. They were watching their own promotions go to the boss's nephew. They were watching their neighborhoods get priced out from under them. They were watching their resumes ignored because they didn't go to the right school. The costume was 570 years old. The feeling was last Tuesday. And that's why 16 million people cried at an ending they already knew. Because they've already lived versions of that ending themselves. 2 months later a TV show premieres on MBC, Perfect Crown. In Korean Isipil Sekitekумpuin. The premiere pulled a 7.8% nationwide rating. Third highest opening for an MBC Friday to Saturday drama ever. By episode 4 11% nationwide. Disney Global Top 10. Streaming in more than 40 countries. Here's where people get confused. Perfect Crown is not a period drama, not set in the Joseon dynasty, not a time travel story. It is set in 2026. Right now. Except in this version of South Korea the monarchy was never abolished. The royal family still exists. Aristocratic rank still determines your social standing. A rigid class hierarchy still governs who gets access to power and who doesn't. IU plays Sung Hyo, the CEO of a major beauty company, self-made, brilliant, fiercely competitive. She has almost everything except one thing: she was born a commoner. And in this world, that single fact puts a ceiling over everything she touches. Bayan Woo-sok plays Prince Leon, the king's second son. Royal blood, the highest possible birth status. And yet he can never be king. No real power, no real freedom, nothing he can actually call his own. These two people make a deal, a contract marriage. She gives him a purpose, he gives her a title. Each fills the hole the system carved into the other. Now I want you to notice something. The King's Warden and Perfect Crown look like completely different stories. One is a historical tragedy set in the 1400s. The other is a modern romantic comedy set right now. But underneath, they are telling the exact same story. A person with every qualification, blocked by a system that doesn't care about qualifications. A person with every privilege trapped by that same system from the other side. And in both cases the audience is watching someone fight back. Eom Hong-do choosing loyalty when the system demanded silence. Sung Hyo wearing a forbidden red suit into a palace that told her she didn't belong. In telenovela tradition, Latin American audiences have always understood this dynamic. The class-crossing romance, the outsider who refuses to accept the ceiling above them. La fuerza de la voluntad, the force of individual will against the structures of power. Perfect Crown is operating in that exact emotional register. The specific cultural codes are Korean. The hunger underneath is universal. That's why Perfect Crown didn't just trend in Korea. It trended in Southeast Asia, Latin America, the Middle East, and North America all within the same week. Because the feeling of being qualified and being dismissed anyway doesn't need a translation. Here's what strikes me looking at South Korea right now. This is a country that rebuilt itself from absolute devastation in roughly 70 years. And with that speed came the social contract: work hard, study hard, earn your place. The system is fair. That contract is broken now, and everyone knows it. Young Koreans, like young Americans, like young Latinos, are navigating a world where the rules they were promised don't apply anymore, where the game was rigged before they sat down. Philosopher Michel Foucault argued that power doesn't just repress, it produces. It shapes the choices people make, the bonds they form, the identities they build. In Perfect Crown, the class system doesn't just oppress the two leads, it creates them. It's precisely because of those constraints that they find each other. That's not just clever TV writing, that's an accurate description of how most of us actually live. The constraints we didn't choose become the conditions under which we form our deepest connections. Historian E.H. Carr put it this way: history is an unending dialogue between the past and the present. What South Korea is doing with its culture right now is exactly that, a conversation between a feudal past and a hyper-competitive present, using the language of story to process what statistics and politics cannot. The King's Warden gave 16 million people permission to grieve, something they couldn't name. Perfect Crown gave millions more permission to imagine a version of themselves who refused to accept the ceiling. Both stories are doing the same thing. They are giving people a language for feelings that have no other outlet. So what does all of this tell us? When a society is under enough pressure, it reaches for the stories that make that pressure feel meaningful. Not stories where everything works out easily. Stories where the system is real, the stakes are real, and the individual still finds a way to matter. That's what Eom Hong-do did. No title, no reward, no strategic reason to stay. He stayed because he decided that some things matter more than self-preservation. And that's what Sung Hyo is doing. She doesn't petition the system. She walks straight into it wearing red. In America we call that kind of story the dream. The idea that who you are matters more than where you started. That the gap between what you deserve and what you're given is not permanent. South Korea is telling that story right now, with a fallen king from the 1400s and a billionaire in a red suit navigating a 21st century monarchy. Maybe the distance between Seoul and your city is smaller than you think. The King's Warden still running in select theaters in the US and Canada. Perfect Crown streaming now on Disney. Which story hits closer to home for you? The king who lost everything, or the woman who refused to accept what she was given?